Assalamu alaikum. One of my favorite subjects that I love to talk to my kids about is history. And not just any part of history, it's a specific history and time that has relates to my heritage as a Latino, but also from the past that relates to Muslims. And that is Muslims in Spain from the time where they were there from 700 AD all the way to 1492. Last year I had the opportunity of going to Spain with two of my good friends, Sister Sumaya, who happens to be a Mexican Latina convert, and the second person was Dr. Mariam Sada, who does extensive research on Muslims in Spain and also has a doctorate degree in Spanish. So we were there on a research to talk to the new converts from Spain, and also to do some research of our own, how the Muslims used to be in that part of the world. And after we spoke through our interactions with the Muslims there, the native ones, and we're not talking about the Arabs from Morocco that are immigrants there, but the actual true Spanish Muslims that have converted to Islam. So they were also not even taught this part of history in their own land while they were in their schools. So I thought that was like an eye-opener, because they only start from the year 1492 when Columbus sailed to the Americas and the Americas were discovered. And any time before that, it's not taught. They say that the Arabs came, they lived here, and then they left, which we all know it's not even true. It's very relevant today, because this teaches us that this part of history was taken from Spain and transferred into the Latin Americas. How is that? Well, after our trip in Madrid with the new Muslims, we decided to tour south of Spain, which is the Andalusian area of Spain. While we were there for only 3 days, our tour guide, who happened to be Spain, met us in Seville, and there we went to several museums and cathedrals, which used to be mosques, and we walked through the streets, and from there we went to Cordoba and we visited the Great Mosque of Cordoba, which is now a cathedral, half mosque. And from there we went to go visit the Alhambra, which is in Granada. And we also had a chance to visit the new masjid there, and as well as Al Bayasin, which is an old Muslim neighborhood on the hills next to the Alhambra Palace. So when we were on our tours, Sister Sumaya and I, we were just in awe, because we were thinking to ourselves, like saying to each other, like, oh my God, this looks like Mexico. Look at the streets, look at the architecture, the way the houses were constructed, the arches, the fountains inside the courtyards, the wrought iron windows with their little planters, the tiles around the architectural doors and around the windows. All of this you see in Mexico. And this is part of history that was way before the 1492. So, and then that's not even including the language. The language which they spoke was Arabic, and then you see a real connection of how Arabic and Spanish is so intermixed that to us it made a lot of sense where our heritage came from. So this part of history needs to be taught to the Latino population and Muslims themselves. They need to see this part of history because it's also a part of history that is kind of like pushed back, and it's not really taught too much in the Muslim curricula. And it's a fascinating subject because it really connects. We have that connection, and this part of history, it also teaches us that we there were so many changes going on through that the Christians were trying so hard to convert the Muslims. And it is said that what we learned from Dr. Miriam Sada was a lot of the Hispanic last names that are used, like Rodriguez, the EZ stands for son of. For example, Rodriguez, you have son of Rodrigo. If you have Gonzalez, and it's the son of Gonzalo. Hernandez, son of Hernando, and so on and so on. So there's that connection, which is, we didn't even know ourselves. And there's a lot of Arabic words that are so similar in Spanish, like zait, which is oil, and in Spanish it's aceite. And sugar,
and
in Arabic it's sucar, and in Spanish is azúcar, and so on and so on. You find like 10,000 words like that. So again, to a Latino who's saying, well, these Muslims are different from us, and that's not the reality. The reality is that we have so much in common in culture, language, arts, architecture, that we need to teach it to others. And that part of history should also be taught in our high schools and the masajes, because we need to relay these stories to everybody, because it's very important to know and to make that connection that is not too well known. And so for me, when we were there, we felt that, we saw that, we lived it, and we brought it back, and now we would like to teach it to others so that they can also feel that connection, that Muslims are not strangers after all, that we do have other similarities, not only in religion, but also in the culture and the language as well. Thank you.